Hello, listeners. You'll notice in a few minutes that we say that there's no news, and at the time we recorded this, there was no news, because it was before we got the information about Prodigy's cast and the wonderful Picard Season 2 trailer. So we will be talking about that next week. In the meantime, I hope you'll enjoy what we have to say about our favorite characters from Season 1 of Lower Decks.
UFP, the United Federation of Podcasts.
Infinite diversity.
Live long and prosper, and welcome to Infinite Diversity, a Star Trek Universe podcast here on the United Federation of Podcasts Network. I'm your host for today, Justin, and joining me is my co-host, Chrissie. Chrissie, how are you doing today?
Not bad at all.
That's good. And, well, Brandon is out again this week. We hear he's exercising some of his buffer time, so hopefully that goes well, as well as can be expected. So we have no news to talk about this week, but joined with us we have a special guest. It's Jenn Tifft of the SnapTrek podcast. So welcome to Infinite Diversity, Jenn.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This is such a joy to be on.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. I know this is your first time on this podcast, but I have podcasted with you before in a couple of Earl Grey episodes when I did that show on Trek FM where we talked about Keiko, who, yes, is awesome, right?
Yes.
Oh, yes, she is.
Thumbs up to Keiko.
We had fun talking about that. And we talked about AI and TNG, which was a really interesting conversation as well. And I took a look back, and I think those were like late 2019, early 2020. Seems like a lifetime ago.
It really does. It really does.
Here we are back on somewhat of the other side. So Jenn, since this is your first time on this podcast, just talk a little bit about your history with Star Trek and how you got into it.
Okay. Well, I'm a lifelong Star Trek fan. You know, started out with syndicated TOS episodes and started watching from the very, very beginning when Next Generation started, and from then on, you know, just hooked.
Okay.
Here's the common story.
Great.
And yeah, I love it all. I love every incarnation of Trek. Not equally, but but I do love it all.
That's okay.
No, that's great. Yeah. And so also you do the SnapTrek podcast, which is a great podcast that listeners should check out. But do you want to just talk a little bit about what the concept is?
Sure. So on SnapTrek, my co-host Ross and I, we take two episodes that are tangentially related thematically or some other way, and we compare them using different categories, some funny, some serious, you know, just not really to have a competition, but more just not to pit them against each other for a competition, but more just to get the conversation rolling in different ways. And it turns out to have that we have some fun with that. And we also write Star Trek poetry.
I love that.
Variable quality.
I think it's all great, and I really respect that, because I don't know if my assignment was to write some poetry about an episode every podcast that I did. I don't know if I could do it.
Well, that's where the variable quality comes in.
Yeah.
No, I think it's great and a lot of fun, and hopefully listeners can check that out. But
thanks.
So for what we're doing for this episode, we've actually here on Infinite Diversity done a couple of episodes about favorite characters as we, wait for new episodes of Star Trek to come. Yes. So we did Picard favorite episodes, we did Discovery Season 1, and now we're on to Lower Decks. And I guess I'll just say here, it's probably no secret for anybody who's seen me on social media or talking about on this podcast, I'm not much of a fan of Lower Decks, but I know Jenn is sad because she's a big fan, but I just wanted to be upfront about that. But in the spirit of things, and with what Brandon did with Discovery Season 1, which is not his favorite season, staying on the positive, I will stay on the positive for this. but I just, full disclosure about that. Lower Decks doesn't quite do it for me. But I don't know. Maybe you guys talking about it and why you love it and favorites, maybe I'll re-examine it a little bit. We'll see.
Yeah, and not everything has to be for everybody. Like, that's totally fine.
Yeah,
but
I think it's a very well done show. It's just that the kind of humor that they do isn't quite my thing, and so it doesn't hit quite as much for me. So But I still think it would be fun to talk about favorite characters. So we'll kind of run down a top 3 and then go with any honorable mentions and just talk however we want about the characters. So Jenn, since you are our guest here, we'll go with you for the first pick. And this could be however you want. It could be your third, your first, second, doesn't matter. Whatever you want to talk about first.
Yeah, I don't have them ranked, just this 3
Okay.
I want to talk about. I'm a huge Lower Decks fan. For me, the humor just hits the spot for me. So I'm a big fan of this iteration of Trek, and I'm excited. I have a lot of favorite characters.
Okay.
I kind of think that that's one of their strong suits is the way they've managed to make these characters resonate in just these 10 short, 20-minute episodes. We know a lot about them, in that's a short amount of time. But the first one I want to talk about is our captain, Captain Carol Freeman, who I just get such a kick out of. Partially due, actually mostly due probably to the talents of Dawn Lewis, who's an amazing voice actor, but she also just has like this comedy timing for I wish there was a better term for this, but she's like a straight man character, where she's like just like a deadpan, like the deadpan lines that she has are just read so perfectly, and it's so funny. She's like Rabbit in the Winnie the Pooh stories, like laughing at all the like the asylum, and she's so funny. She's very Starfleet. She's very much a Starfleet captain, but she also has her own quirks and foibles, and she wants to be taken seriously. And she takes her mission seriously, which is what makes her so Starfleet. I love her. One of my moments a moment I want to highlight for her is when she has her little mission to do to plant seeds. And they don't really go into the details. They have like the seed that they have to plant, and they've got their full on in black ops uniforms, and she's like, I could be called on to plant this seed at any minute. She takes it so seriously, and she's so proud of her mission, and she does that with everything that's the Cerritos is called upon to do, and I really get a kick out of her.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
So your thoughts, Chrissy, on Freeman?
Oh yeah, she's great. I did not have her on my list. I don't know why I didn't have her on my list. But
There's so many.
I feel like this was a tough one because all of the main characters are so good, and it's not that they aren't on other shows, but I think we don't have enough of them yet to really be like, oh yeah, that's the standout for me. Of course, then again, listeners know that I find it impossible to choose favorites, so I might just be whatever. But yeah, Freeman's good. I think Freeman's one of the more real captains that we've had because she isn't perfect.
Right.
And I love that about her.
Okay. So I guess what I'll say about Freeman, yes, I think Dawn Lewis is a tremendous voice talent. I think she does a great job of that. And I heard her on, if you guys listen to the Pod Directive podcast,
Yes.
Yeah.
she was on, so they did something fun, I think, for Mother's Day, since Tawny Newsome, who plays Mariner, co-host the podcast, and they had, Dawn Lewis as her, kind of Star Trek mom, and then they had her actual mom, which is really cool.
That was
fun to listen to.
But listeners should take a listen to that because, it was just very interesting to hear what she had to say about, what voice acting is like and things that have happened in her life and all of that. So, I think she is a really great talent. Like, I think for me in Lower Decks, it's a little bit hard sometimes to adjust to like, oh, there's Captain Freeman, but definitely not the focus of this show, right? The focus is elsewhere intentionally, right? And I know we have some of that with Discovery, where it's not necessarily the person who's captain at the time who's the real focus. It's really Burnham. But yeah, like sometimes I feel like I want to see more of what's going on. Almost like if you had an episode where it's like, well, and the senior command is doing this, and at the same time everyone, I mean, you have a little bit of that in Lower Decks, I think, but I'd like to almost see almost like a split screen of like what is going on. But no, I think it's a fun character, and it is interesting how she plays it and it is somebody who's more Starfleet, and a lot of the other people are like, yeah, whatever, right? They're like, we don't quite do that here. So, yeah. So, Chrissy, your first pick?
Also in no particular order. Boimler is my first pick because his anxiety reminds me of my anxiety.
Oh, okay. So you feel like you would be like Boimler on that ship?
Somewhere between Boimler and Tendi, I think. Very excited about things, but also very nervous about making sure that things are done correctly.
And worrying what other people will think, kind of thing?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. Maybe less of that and more of like worrying about my career.
Right.
Okay. And I mean, do you have a favorite moment for him?
Oh.
Just pick one.
Yeah, a bunch. Yeah, no. You know what? The opening of the whole show when Mariner hits him with the batleth and they both scream at each other, that was just beautiful. That with the captain's log ahead of it that he's doing, that is his character right there. Yeah. He's thinking ahead, he's thinking about who he wants to be in the future, and then he's got these people who are pulling him along and trying to get him to relax every once in a while. And he can't.
Yeah, I think it's interesting for these first two picks, and I'll probably continue a little bit with mine, is picking characters who are more Starfleet or aspiring toward that.
Yeah.
And of course, at the end of the first season, Boimler's joining the Titan. I'm just curious, Chrissy, since you're a fan of the character, like what kinds of things do you want to see him do on the Titan?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea.
He said that was his dream job too, to be on the Titan.
Pretty much.
He says in an earlier episode. Yeah. So
I almost want to see him realize that it's not necessarily the dream that he thought it was.
Okay. I mean, one would
which sounds really negative.
Yeah, and I don't know how the show's going to go in the second season, but I would almost expect for some reason something doesn't work out and he comes back to the Cerritos, but.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe I think it would be a bold choice to say no to that, and maybe you follow the two ships for. I've talked about this on podcasts before. I'd love to have a show where we're kind of equally following two ships at the same time and what they're doing. We haven't really had that yet, and so maybe this is the opportunity. But I kind of expect that something won't work out. Like you're saying, it won't be what he expected, and then he'll come back to the Cerritos and be like, "All right, back to this, and how am I going to deal with it now?"
I expect him to find some more confidence in himself on the
Definitely.
Titan. You see that even in just the one little scene at the end where he's telling about all their adventures that they had in one of the previous episodes of when they went to the mission where they dropped off the Klingon. And he's telling the Titan people that story, but making himself seem like that's no big deal. I go to all these planets and meet all these aliens, and and I'm worldly or universally.
Yeah.
So I expect him to really gain some of that confidence. Maybe take some of the things he might have learned from Mariner's style, and apply that to his own style that he has, and he's got a lot going for him. And I'm interested to see too how he does make it back, because I agree with you, Justin, that he'll be back on the Cerritos, but I couldn't see him not succeeding on the Titan, so it'd be interested to see how they do that.
Yeah, and I was almost thinking, I could imagine him being on the, the holodeck on the Titan, just playing at being captain in some scenario and just enjoying that. Almost making me think of, how the Doctor on Voyager loves thinking about himself as the emergency command hologram, right? I'm just, the hero of everything, right? I think that would be kind of fun. But also,
you just caused me to think of. There should be a scene where he's admiring the Titan warp core because he loves the warp core so much, and then realizes that he likes the Cerritos one better or something. That would be really cute, bittersweet moment.
Yeah, that would be cute.
Yeah.
Oh man, I really don't like this warp core. Time to transfer. Yeah.
Well, you can see him thinking about it. You're like, oh, I miss the hum of the Cerritos, and I miss my friends.
That could be. Although I do have to say. Having read all of the Titan novels that are out there, I think I would love to spend some time on that ship and see what characters from those novels might be there, or what kind of fun you could have with Riker and Troy and all that. So I think it'll be interesting to see where they take it, because it could be something where it's like, yeah, he's on the Titan for a couple episodes and he comes back and that's it. Or it could be more prolonged. I think that I'm hoping, I think it's unlikely, but I'm hoping for prolonged because I want to spend time on that ship and see what it's like. So
yeah, I want to see Dr. Ree and Christine Bale and all of that.
We need all the people from the Titan novels, but
yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's a good pick. So for my first pick, I'm picking Tendi, and I really like Tendi as a character for a couple of reasons. So first of all, you see someone who is, female and Orion, and it's nothing about, being a sex slave or anything like that kind of stuff that you've had in Star Trek previously. So I really like that. And one of the things I'd like to see more of is more of, kind of what came into her decision for going into Starfleet, what it's actually, like for someone who's Orion. Does she come from the Orion homeworld? Does she come from somewhere else? Like, what is that like? But I like her character also because I think that would somewhat be me, where you're getting on, you're like, oh my God, I'm so excited to be on this ship, and oh, show me this and show me that. But I think it's interesting in the show how she has all of this enthusiasm for it, but then she finds out more from some of the other crew members, and that kind of, it doesn't like completely go away, but it's kind of like, oh, it's actually like this, and I want to fit in with these people, at least how I interpret it. But I think actually one of my favorite moments for Tendi is the one where the episode where Mariner has this crazy holodeck movie, which I'm not much of a fan of the episode because I think it goes way too far. But I felt like Tendi, where at a certain point she's like, Mariner, you've gone too far. I am leaving. Mm-hmm. So I just kind of love that she does have certain things that are important to her where she'll draw the line and be like, this is messed up, guys. I'm gone, So anyway, I really like her character for that, and I want to see kind of more of that, or more exploration of kind of who she is. So, thoughts on Tendi?
I like how Tendi kind of rolls with it for everything. Like, we see it the very first episode, and it's her first day, and this horrible, strange, rage virus thing happens, and then she's like, I got to hold a human heart.
Oh, I love that part. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's funny because, you don't expect if before Tendi, you might think that she'd be a little bit more timid about that sort of thing, but she's not. She has enthusiasm, but she's not timid at all. Mm-hmm. And I really like that about her, and I like that I want to explore that a little bit. She's not, she makes that nightmare of a dog, and it's just like, and she's not like she's not a wallflower. She's not one to like back away from things like that, and she's just got an enthusiasm for life and for the ship and for science. And she's a lot of fun, and I too like that she's an Orion. I like that, and I like that she's an Orion a lot. I really like that there's an Orion in Starfleet. I'd like to explore that a little bit more too, like you mentioned, Justin.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Chrissy, about?
Well, she was on my list too. Okay. Sorry. Yep, she was on my list as well. With exactly the same kind of thing. I wrote down, I wish I had her enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And I guess I do have her enthusiasm for a lot of things. It's just she's so. She fills up a room in a different way than like Mariner fills up a room because she requires attention. Yeah. Tendi fills up a room because she's like, oh, this is so great and wonderful, and you can't help but smile if she's smiling.
Yeah. Yeah. I really like that, and it's kind of a. I feel like sometimes it's kind of a nice contrast to Mariner, who tends to not be quite as positive about certain things. That was actually the first one that came to mind. And when I was first watching the show and not quite getting into the humor, I was still like, I really like this character. I want to see like what she does and where this goes and all that. So we'll see. Okay, let's go to second picks now. So Jen, what do you have on your list?
Okay, my second pick is Ensign Samanthan Rutherford.
Rutherford, okay.
I adore him. You said that, Chris. You said that you're kind of like Boimler and Tendi, a little bit. Like I'm Rutherford and Mariner are the two that like I
love
relate
it,
to, which is so funny. But Rutherford, because I'm an engineer also, so he's my surrogate on the ship. It just his enthusiasm. He wants to. He wants to be in the tubes. He hears the call of the tubes, the Jeffries tube, and he's. It's delightful to watch that. I like that he's our engineer that we follow, but he's not. You see him make mistakes. He's obviously very, very talented. You see him do a lot of amazing work, but you also see him mess up. He messes up. Boimler's out of phase, and he fixes the transporter.
Yeah.
And he turns off the red alert in the cargo bay.
Yes.
Like, no, that's like a rookie mistake, and which makes sense because he's a rookie, basically. Yeah. And you could see the makings of one of our brilliant miracle working chief engineers that we have. That they have, his idol Billups, too. Yes. But he's I like that he's another one that's just really like easygoing, go with the flow kind of person. I think that's why him and Tendi get along so well. Tendi get along, but so it's he's just like okie dokie and things like that, and which is fun. I like the idea of that he's a cyborg, a new cyborg, getting used to that. That's really interesting to me too. And now we're obviously going to have a lot more to deal with his memory loss, and I guess getting new implants, or hopefully they'll work better than the than the ones he was having trouble with in season 1. But it's interesting. It adds another dimension to his character that's really interesting to watch.
I think we're going to get oh shoot, what did they used to call it on Voyager when everything was reset? I think we're going to get a reset button. Brain fart. Okay. When we're going to get a reset button for him, we're going to find out that like all of his memories were uploaded. And
they were like stored in a backup or something. Yeah.
Hey, Rutherford, you've got your memory back now. Okie dokie.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. I mean, but you can see, within the context of the show, you can totally see them doing that. That's exactly within the feel of it.
I have a question, and it's something I don't think we know, but that we were talking about with this show. So what do you think happened? Was it something like he had some injury and this is what happened, or it's by choice that he wanted to be enhanced? What do you guys think?
Oh, I had assumed it was an injury. I don't know why I assumed that, though.
I think I made that assumption, but we were talking on one of the episodes about it, and the suggestion was made like, well, maybe it's just by choice.
I mean, could be. Yeah. You would see an engineer maybe choosing to do that. Someone who's
upgrade to Rutherford 2.0.
Yeah. Or maybe he volunteered, like maybe it was an experiment. Maybe he's in some kind of pilot program for this new implant or something. That's a good. I don't know why I just assumed it was.
I hope we find out more, because I have wondered about that background. Like, okay, that's interesting. Of course, it has like the Vulcan ears, so it's like, what is going on with that? That's what maybe that's.
You said it was Vulcan technology.
Maybe that's one of the things that trigger like, oh, maybe this is by choice. He wants to associate with kind of some Vulcan characteristics and requested that this Vulcan thing be created. I don't know.
That's interesting. That's an interesting thought. I really hope we find out the origins of that.
Yeah.
Either way.
Considering the way he tinkers with things, it's entirely possible that
he made it himself.
Idea.
I can see that being
or like he participated in it. Yeah.
Wow, that'd be interesting.
I could also see there being some kind of engineering mistake, mishap, accident, and him having to get that
plasma burns.
Yeah, plasma burns, whatever. Yeah,
but, that could be.
Yeah, but hopefully we'll find out more about that.
So you were talking about the way Tendi and Rutherford get along. Actually, I think at a certain point earlier in the season, I started shipping them and calling them Tendiford.
Oh, cute!
And I don't know. It seemed like they were like playing with that a little bit. May not go anywhere. I don't need necessarily like romantic relationships between the main characters, but I just wondered about that, or if they're going to go there.
I got the impression that Rutherford might be into Tendi, but she's not really into him, or just oblivious. Because he said, he says about how cute she is, and now he's trying to impress her and everything. And I shipped them for a while, and then I shipped him with Billups, and now I don't know.
Oh.
I just... You're right. I
was going to bring that up.
I don't need romance, but it's fun to.
So what would that be? Bill up preferred?
Ruther up, ruther ups.
Ruther ups. Yeah. I don't know.
That's funny. But yeah, I really like their dynamic together. The Tendi and Rutherford, though. I think it's a fun contrast between the opposites of the Boimler Mariner duo, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's different than that. This is just them like having fun and enjoying, you know, being ensigns on the ship. And I love the scene of them in the Jeffries tube, and she's doing her science thing and he's doing his engineering thing, and they're just being together, and that's fun. And it's kind of like what you know, a little bit like what college was like. You know, you can, you know what I mean, like doing homework with your friends, and even though you're doing two separate things, you're together and you just have fun. And I kind of feel like the lower deckers have a little bit of that kind of dynamic in more college than like first job dynamics. Like sometimes, you know, because they're still learning a lot. But
they are, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was interesting you mentioned like Rutherford makes mistakes, and you know, maybe that's what everyone would do. I think it would be interesting. I guess at this point you probably have to do it in a novel potentially or something like that. But just to see like when Scotty or Geordie were ensigns, like did they make mistakes or what happened with them? Were they always miracle workers?
That's a good point. Everyone starts somewhere, right?
Yeah. Even
our geniuses.
When you said that, it actually made me think of when Picard was explaining why he wanted LaForge on the ship, about how he had stayed up all night fixing a .002 variant in the shuttle or something like that. And that is 100% Rutherford.
Right, yeah.
You could see him doing that in a heartbeat.
Right, and both of those characters, they're not doing it to earn brownie points like Boimler would be. No. They're just doing it for the love of the game, for the love of engineering and fixing things and tinkering. It's a different motivation.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll say that Rutherford was on my list as well, but I'll bump another one up so that I can have three choices. But Chrissie, your second choice?
Well, Tendi was my second choice, but I'll bump up one of my... And then Rutherford was an honorable mention, so...
Okay.
I'll bump up Engineer Billups.
Yes.
I don't know what... I didn't write down his first name. I can't remember. But...
Andy Billups, I think, right?
Yes, thank you. He just seems to have a good rapport with his staff, and you know, it was tough to pick between him and Shax, partially because of the interactions with Rutherford when he's trying to decide to have a new career so that he can spend, you know, that one evening with Tendi, and they're both, because you have the bait and switch thing where you think they're gonna be all mad at them, and he's not. But they do that so well. But I think there's a lot coming forward that we could get in Billups' character. Because he seems to be... Like, I think he's got probably an interesting backstory. He seems quite lonely. Yeah. But he's also really enthusiastic about what he's doing. Not as visibly enthusiastic as Tendi and Rutherford. But you can see he's got a love of what he's doing, and I hope we see more of him, and I hope we get more of his backstory, too.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, we spent a little bit of time, but not too much time with the character, because that's not the focus. And I was thinking about it like, he's the chief engineer, and we didn't spend much time. But then I think, like, in Discovery, like, we haven't even really met the chief engineer yet after 3 seasons, even though,
there was... It burns me up.
Yeah, even though, there was like a little graphic that said Stamets as the chief engineer, but apparently they said that was really a mistake. But but yeah, that is one thing on Discovery, like, you know, what are the people thinking that are in, you know, this area that we usually see like around the warp core? Are they just like, man, this is terrible because I've had to do all this stuff. I had to agree to go into the future and nobody even cares about what I do. The spore drive is the big thing. Like, anyway, but yeah.
I'm bummed about that too, because it's my favorite ship and I've never seen the warp core.
Right?
You know, they have a spore drive, but they have a warp core too.
They definitely go to warp sometimes. Yeah, I know. That is, are they keeping it for season 4 or something? I don't know. But
actually, season 3 would have been the time to do that, wouldn't it?
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's interesting. But yeah, okay. So we do at least see a little bit of the Cerritos chief engineer for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like he didn't come up on my list, and it was more just like he's doesn't do a whole lot, so it didn't like come top of mind. But it's interesting that it did for you. Like there was something that you saw in him that you're like, oh, I want to find out more about this person. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
He's an honorable mention for me as well because, like you were saying about how he's lonely, like yeah, we see him alone eating soup, you know.
Yeah.
And we don't know a lot about him. All we know is that he's a brilliant engineer, and Rutherford respects him, or maybe even has feelings beyond that for him, and might be reciprocated that the alternate or hologram version of him.
Yes,
it was fascinating to watch for all those reasons, because it was programmed directly to their characters, so it's theoretically how they would have acted in these, and but how we saw him act, besides all the Rutherford stuff, we saw him evacuating engineering and shutting the door, but staying behind and saving the ship, and so we know that he's like our chief engineers on the other ships that we know. We know he has that. We know he has that courage. We know he has those skills. We know, So yeah, I'd be interested to learn more about him next season. And he's voiced by who's he voiced? What?
It says Paul Scheer.
The comedian's name. He's so funny.
Paul Scheer. Okay.
Paul Scheer.
Paul Scheer, thank you. Sorry. Yeah, he's so funny. And I really hope that they give him more to do, too, because he's just hilarious.
I was just thinking, too, with the issue of Rutherford and Billups, and it's like, okay, yeah, you kind of want to ship them, but maybe it's just more of I don't know what that's called, a mentor crush.
Yeah.
There's terms for that, where he's not actually necessarily attracted to him in a sexual way, but he's more like, oh, I want to be exactly like this person.
Yeah.
Or 95% this person.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be, but it's fun to think about, too, especially at the end, though, when they're like, let's run away together and fix things. Like, that's so
and
lovely.
If it weren't for that, I would just assume that he wasn't attracted to him, but that's like, oh.
They both seem very happy with that idea. So
yes.
Okay,
but
so
yeah, I totally agree.
I think it's interesting because Billups is another one that's kind of very Starfleet. So far we've had Freeman,
Yeah.
Boimler, Tendi, Rutherford, Billups, who very much are kind of in the mold of what we've seen for Starfleet characters before, to an extent. So I think that's pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for my second pick, since you already picked Rutherford, I'm going to pick Dr. T'Ana. and the reason is for as I said, I'm not necessarily a fan of the humor of this, but I think she's often one of the funniest characters, and I just love the idea of like this foul-mouthed Caitian doctor on the ship, and I want to see more and find out more about that, because we've seen Caitians a few other places, most notably Maress in the animated series, which I love, but like I want to find out more about like the species and like how she got into being a doctor and what that is about, and I don't think we've quite explored it in the show yet, but I feel very much like kind of the irritation and frustration that you see is a way that she kind of expresses how much she actually loves what she's doing. Yes. And I just kind of love that idea. So, and she's not really like one of the kind of main characters. She's more of a secondary character, but I want to find out more because I think there's just something fascinating about a character like that and how they navigate this world when you look different than other people and you look like pets that people have. Like, what is that like? I don't know. It's just a thing that I think about sometimes. So what do you guys think about T'Ana?
She's great. Yeah, she's funny. She's I like that she's a grumpy doctor. Again, I like the grumpy doctor character is funny. Like that's always a fun. If she says no one's authorized to pass out. She can like stop with sheer force of will, and she handles everything like that. She's got a lot of authority. And one of the saddest things about Shax's death to me is that I really wanted to explore their relationship more. I thought that would have been an interesting match. together, and would have loved to have seen some more of that.
Okay, my theory is that we'll find an alternate timeline Shax in season 2.
Ooh, I hope you're right. I hope you're right.
I have no inside information, but I think that would be pretty cool. Yeah.
Or we'll have like a Thomas Riker situation.
Yeah.
Brax will show
Oh
up.
yeah,
I like that.
You remember that time a couple years ago when it seemed like there was an issue with the transporter? Well, here we go.
Here it is.
Yeah. So
That'd be great. Yeah, it's
That information will be in Rutherford's downloaded memories. And
there you go. It's
see,
all
it
connected.
all works out.
there we go. I like these ideas, but I'm sure that's not what's happening.
Me too.
Okay, so let's get into third picks then. So, Jen, what do you have?
All right, I'm going to Beckett Mariner. I know
Okay.
that might not be a popular pick.
No, it's okay.
with,
Tell us why you love
someone here.
Mariner.
No, not at all.
Someone named Justin.
I'm not saying that I hate the character. There's just certain choices and things that she does where I'm like, I don't know about that.
Oh yeah.
But tell me why you
Absolutely.
love the character.
Well, I agree with that. Like I see that. But I think she's great. If you're the critique that you could have of her is like her lack of ambition kind of messes up a lot of what she does. Like, you know what I mean? Because down beneath it all, everything she does, she has Starfleet ideals. You know, she's helping. She's bringing tools to the farmer. She's toys to the children. You know, everything she's doing. Even when she helps her friends. You know, I liked her from the very beginning when you know, she brings back Boimler, you know, says, "Oh, you're so good at this, and I'm not. I should quit." And she brings back his confidence. I really thought at the end when he was making fun of her, you know, at the bar, I really thought she was going to be like, "Guess what? You know, you were wrong. I set that up," and you know, because she wouldn't be able to handle, like, her ego wouldn't be able to handle that. But she didn't do that because her ego is not her problem. You know, she's perfectly fine, like, just smiling to herself and helping her friend regain his confidence. And she does that kind of thing a lot. She's great in a crisis. She's who you want to have, you know, when the ship's being taken over by whatever. She's the one who comes up with the solutions. And she's a bold thinker. If she could get her S together, then she would be a wonderful captain someday, you know. A very, maybe not a very, you know, traditional captain, but you know, but sometimes that's what you need. Sometimes you need someone who's going to think outside the box. And
Yeah.
I think she's really interesting. I think Tawny Newsom's a gem. She's wonderful, and it's just to me she's a refreshing addition to Star Trek.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
characters.
I mean, I love Tawny Newsome. I think she's a great talent. And there are, like, you gave examples where, you know, she's doing good things, she's helping out people and encouraging them and all of that. But there are also these times where she does things that seem quite at odds with that. And I think one of them is when she does this holodeck movie and she gets really kind of brutal about it and almost wants to, like, kill her own mother in this thing. I mean, it's holodeck, but still, there's just something about that I'm like, whoa, there's something really, there's a big problem there, right? That she's dealing with. Or in the first episode, and we had a guest, I'm sure Chrissy will remember, who was quite upset by one of the things that Mariner did in the first episode, where there's this creature that, you know, has not quite eaten Boimler, but is kind of like toying with him and whatever. And Mariner just kicks back with a drink and she's like, yeah, we'll deal with this a little bit later while this guy's being kind of tortured. So, like, and that bothered me too. I was like, this is, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. So anyway.
Well, but then she knew he wasn't in danger of being eaten.
He's not going to be eaten.
Yeah.
I mean, what could she have done? Because the point was they couldn't hurt the animal because then the milk would go bad.
Yeah.
and you know, Boimler as a Starfleet officer, you know, he would know. No, you just have to wait it out. I don't know. I get that. I get that. But I think that particular example, I think there might be some extenuating circumstances.
Okay. All right.
But I totally get what you're saying.
but
I feel like her problem. I'm sorry.
No. I was going to say, I think there's something interesting to explore those two sides where it's like, wanting to do good and then doing these things where you're like, that's pretty questionable, you know?
Huh. Yeah,
at least in my mind, but sorry, go ahead.
No, I get what you're saying. I think a lot of her problem is just that, like you mentioned, the movie episode, how much she is at odds with her own feelings. You know, at the end, she doesn't, it's not her mom she has to fight. She fights herself, a version of herself, which is really sad if you think about it. You know, that's what helped her, was having to work things out physically with a version of herself.
Yeah.
And I think that's her struggle is with, I want to do things my way versus, not wanting to follow rules, but also I want to do good things. You know, not saying that sometimes you just gotta, you gotta suck it up and not be in charge and not do what you want to do if you want to meet those goals. But I don't find her mean-spirited at all.
No, but I think there is something where there's like a deep, maybe mental health issue, but there's not like the room in this show to really explore that in a certain way, because it's supposed to be funny, right? And you're supposed to kind of keep going with that. So I find that kind of push and pull kind of interesting and a little like, I wish they were able to, address it more, but it's kind of like they address it a little bit and it's okay, let's move on to the next thing. So anyway, I promise to keep things positive, but I'm not.
No, absolutely. And I think that's going to be a series long arc.
Okay.
You know, I mean, they went through it a lot, a good amount this season. I mean, that's, what Crisis Point was about, was her at least recognizing she had a problem, but then at the end she doesn't, right? She's like, oh, therapy works, I'm good. Problem solved.
Yeah.
And,
I kind of don't like that message.
It doesn't work that way. Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. And we see that even, right after that episode.
No, I'd love to see that more explored, because there is definitely something there to work through.
Yeah.
So,
yes. Absolutely.
Reminds me of how people say that, the funniest people around you are the ones with the most pain.
Right. Yeah.
And I think we're going to see some of that with Mariner.
Yep. Agreed.
Okay. Chrissy, what do you think about Mariner in general?
She is a wonderful character, and I debated putting her on my list, but it seemed too obvious. It's like picking Michael when we're talking about this.
I picked Michael anyway.
And I know you did, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just like to buck the trend, which maybe is a Mariner kind of thing to do. But yeah, I mean, she's good, and we keep coming back to that these people are not perfect, and that is part of the whole premise of the show. It's shining a mirror to really Next Gen, when Roddenberry was given free hand to make his perfect society, and it wasn't as interesting, because the first season, as much as I love Next Gen, and there's a lot of good episodes in the first season, but consistently speaking, the first season, people are going, yeah, that's too perfect,
No, that's...
So it's good for that.
Okay. And we'll see what happens in season 2. Okay, sorry about
that. What? Sorry about what?
No, I just have some strong feelings about it, because there have been some times when the characters kind of rub me the wrong way a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, she's made some questionable decisions, but haven't we all, I mean, yes. I haven't let a colleague get quasi-raped by a spider cow thing, but,
We're just sucking on him. It wasn't any danger.
Taking all the moisture out of it.
Moisture.
All right. Well, Chrissy, let's move on to your third pick.
Okay, my third pick is Ransom.
Yes.
And it's because he is such a beautiful satire of that machismo. He is everything that people think Riker is. And he's a lot of what people think Kirk is, even though they are not those things. And it's just beautiful.
Okay. Favorite moments for that?
I can't... What did he say? He says, I can't talk to people without working out. And he was...
He doesn't always have the free weights.
Yeah.
Those are funny.
You are working out. Well, not hard enough.
Yeah, it's interesting, because I hadn't thought of it that way. I like that. What do you think of Ransom, Jen?
I find him really funny. I think you could say he's also like a caricature of that kind of macho guy, but he's also very Starfleet too. When you see him.
Oh yeah.
Which is part of what makes that character. I mean, so was Kirk, so was Riker. They're not just that stereotype, and neither is Ransom. And what I particularly like about Ransom is I think Jerry O'Connell's the voice acting MVP to me.
Yeah.
I mean, the way he hits some of these lines, he could have been like a on Futurama, who's the macho captain, but he really is the stereotype.
Brock Sampson, or no, not that's
what's his name?
That's Venture Brothers. Oh no,
you know who I'm talking about though. He's
okay.
Like Cap.
Yeah, no,
I'll have to look it up. I can't. For some reason, it's not crossing my mind. But he's like rude and dumb and mean. And part of it's the voice acting, but Jerry O'Connell, like the way he delivers these lines, it's just so funny and so just on point. And he keeps it from being like he keeps the Starfleet in the lines. I love the one. He's telling Boimler about the cookies. Cookies are a good play. I've done it myself. Here's what you need to do. Like he's giving the rundown, and it's
Yep.
But
Zap Brannigan is who we were trying to think of.
Yes, thank you. Yes, that's exactly right. But he's not like that. He's pure Starfleet, and he's funny, and yeah, I think that's a great pick.
Okay, and I guess we'll see what happens going forward for him in season 2. Okay, so for my third pick, again, since I had to bump one up, I'm going to take something. I know I say I'm not much of a fan, but there are a couple of episodes I am a fan of, and one of them is Veritas, the one where they're kind of on trial. Yeah, and the reason I love that episode is because there are these just crazy, absurd things happening in these supposed flashbacks, and I just love that kind of humor. But the character that I really like as well is Klar, voiced by Kurtwood Smith, who is great because he's done the Federation President in Star Trek 6, Anorax in Year of Hell, and Thrax in DS9. But I just love the way that, I don't know, I just like hearing his voice, I guess. I don't know. But I think the character is interesting as well because, he's kind of prosecuting this crazy case against them, and it leads to all these hijinks and all of that. I think when I first saw the episode, I was like, a party? That's kind of a weird thing at the end. But otherwise, I really like the episode and just like the way that he plays the character. So that's my pick. What do you guys think?
He's good. One-off. I didn't think about doing one-offs. So.
A favorite could be a one-off.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I did love how at the end of it, as you're thinking back on it, if he had been saying all of those things in a different tone of voice, it would have been completely understood. Yeah. Tell us about how your captain is perfect, or whatever the line was. Yeah. Instead of yelling it at them angrily.
Tone matters.
Exactly. His delivery was so funny because then at the end it's like, how could you think this was a trial? Like, how did that even cross your mind? It's like, there are several things going on here, but he's funny.
It's the lighting. I thought it was a trial because of the lighting.
Right.
And then when they turn the lights on, it's like
up there and in a field.
And are they're like
stasis field.
In a stasis field like the whole time, aren't they?
Right. Mm-hmm. And there's a pit of eels.
Yes.
It's just funny.
Yep.
See, I really like that episode because there's something really absurd about it. And we've probably talked about it on this podcast. I respond much more to absurd humor than to the kind that you usually get in Lower Decks, which I find it hard to characterize like what it is, but it's something that doesn't work for me. But I like absurdity. So Trouble with Edward is one of my favorite things in Star Trek because it is so crazy. So that's the kind of thing where the comedy works for me. And Veritas had a lot of that because it was just so over the top with this mission that they had and all the stuff that was going on in the narration. So, and Klar's a part of that.
I'm always a big fan of of when you see the same event from different points of view over and over again.
That.
Like I love that. So that hit the spot for me, and it was a really nice callback to the episode of Lower Decks from Next Gen. You know, where every ensign had a little part of it of the story. No one had the full story, and I thought that was a nice little nod to that.
So what we really need for season 2 is 10 episodes. Every episode is just something from the past being told from like 4 different perspectives throughout the episode, and I'll be happy. Okay, so let's see if we have honorable mentions. Jen?
Well, I really want to give an honorable mention to the USS Cerritos herself.
Oh, okay.
The NCC 75567 California class. Second contact engineering support is their specialty. I like the design. I think it's for what this is. It's a perfect design because it's not like this grandiose grand flagship. You know, it's kind of dumpy. it's falling apart. You know, Rutherford says how it's falling apart and it's old, but it's our job to keep it together, and it's challenging and rewarding. You know. It's an interesting design. The bridge is interesting. Set. I like that it's color coded. It's got the yellow stripe. Like the California class is an interesting concept too, and just named after cities in California, and the shuttles are the parks, and that's fun, and I just think it's the perfect kind of ship for what this is, and a bonus shout out to the bar, the Dirty Delta,
yes.
which is just a fun version of of the hangout for the show. So I think it fits the fits the feeling of the show.
Yeah, I mean, I like it too, and also anytime you see like a 24th century ship and you see those nice like blues and reds on the nacelles and the white of the lights in the windows, I like that. So I do like it a lot because it does feel like, well, this isn't the most visually appealing ship, but
that's kind of the point. Yeah,
the point. Yeah, you don't have the best ship, but you have a ship that works for what you need.
right, exactly.
Yeah. So what do you think of this ship, Chrissie?
It's a nice ship. I don't. The ship is a character in the show, in all of the shows, and I hadn't thought of it in that way. But yeah, I like that.
I was thinking about the ship as a character, and it is. I guess for DS9, you'd say it's the Defiant then. But that.
Well, there you got two, because the station and.
I guess if you think of it as a ship, but okay, I think of it as a station.
The construction on which they are living.
Okay. Is the character.
And working.
You're right. DS9 is the character that way. Nice. Okay, that's great. I hadn't expected a pick like that. Any other honorable mentions you wanted to mention, Jen?
Well, you're talking about one-off, like aliens.
Could be one-off, yeah.
I like one of the things that Lower Decks is free to do is make these absurd aliens. That you're not constrained by what you can do with makeup and what's expensive, and you can draw whatever you want. And the one that I liked, I was a big fan of the bog aliens, who are like like lizard people that just like swam up out of the bog, and I really thought the design of them was fun because that's not something you would see in live action. The way they did that, and even like the king says, "We osmose our most brackish gratitude." Which is the line just kills me because it's such what a bog alien would say,
Yeah,
there's a random.
There's also not enough stuff in Star Trek where they have kind of different sentence construction, even through the translator.
Exactly, yeah, definitely, yeah. So I thought that was cool, and I think they have a lot of room to expand their one-off alien, portfolio. So, yeah.
Okay. Chrissie, do you have honorable mentions?
Yeah, I just want to say how much I enjoy cartoon Riker and Troy.
Yes.
Yeah, they were on my honorable mention list.
Yeah, because it's just fun.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah. Plus, I mean, if we do end up following the Titan for a while, we may see baby Thaddeus, because it's a year ahead of when he was born.
That's true, yeah.
I looked
Interesting.
it up. So that would be kind of cool. Sad,
Yeah.
though, but kind of cool.
Okay, that sounds good.
I love how they're playing up on the silliness too. You know, like you know, 5, 6, 7, 8. You know, and she's like, oh, with a jest. So cute.
Well, if we're talking about ships, I think one of my favorite characters has to be seeing the Titan, because that's the design that was in the novels, and it just looks so cool.
I mean, that was a great moment. It was a surprising moment to see the Titan, and it looks great. And
although we shouldn't be surprised by Jonathan Frakes being everywhere by this point, but
that's what he does. He comes in and saves the day.
Yeah, he has had some kind of involvement in every Star Trek series that has ever aired, except for the original series and the animated series, which is like kind of blows my mind that that's happened.
Because he was Baby Riker. He wasn't old enough to be involved.
Well, yeah, you know. Yeah. Okay, so any other picks or good?
I'm clean out.
Okay. Well, I think this has been fun, and I tried to keep it positive, and maybe it'll give me a different perspective.
You did. Okay, I do have one more then. I wanted to save him in case someone else said it, but we didn't talk about Shax, and we just have to mention his brave act at the end. He should at least get a mention for what he did.
Oh, yeah.
Saving Rutherford and saving everybody.
Yeah, I also love when we have Bajorans, because... Yeah, I mean, I think he's the first kind of really major character that's a Bajoran since DS9, really. Like, you had a few in Voyager, like, after DS9 was off the air, and there was a little bit in Discovery Season 3, but, yeah.
Yeah,
anyway.
So I was sad to see him go for that reason, too. Yeah. But, you know, no one's ever truly dead in Star Trek.
Back in an alternate, I could totally see them doing something like that. Or, I mean, what I really want, what I think would be really funny, would be some insane, like, time travel, alternate dimension kind of thing, where it just gets crazier and crazier and crazier, like, the whole time. That's the kind of thing I want to see.
I'm down for that.
So just, like, you can just bring back all the characters, or it could just be, like, a whole, like, you've accessed this universe that dumps out a whole bunch of people that's, like, everybody you've ever seen in Star Trek or something like that. That would be hard to animate.
It's that poster.
Yeah.
It's got everybody.
Yeah, they've got a key, like, this person's here, this person's there. Anyway.
There's so much Star Trek they could pull from, you know, that they could.
They really do. That's the kind of thing I would look forward to, because it just, they could pull anybody, really. So, Jen, thanks for joining the discussion today. Really appreciate you being here and talking about Lower Decks. So, I guess, where can people find you online if they wanted to hear the podcast or connect with you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter. I'm at EatAtQuarks, and my podcast is SnapTrek, and you can find that wherever you get your podcasts.
Awesome. And I love the Twitter handle.
Thank you.
That's so great. So, yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. Thanks again, Jen. Appreciate you joining us here.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right. So, Chrissy, where can people find you when you're not, let's see now, when you're not shipping Tendi and Rutherford? Do you still do that?
Oh, I can see that. Totally. Okay. Yeah. Tendiford.
Yes.
I mean, can't go wrong with a name like that. All right. So, in addition to here on Infinite Diversity, you can find me on History with the Szilagys, the new twice-weekly history podcast here on the UFP network that I do with my partner, Jason. And I'm happy to chat about all of our shows in the Federation Council Chambers on Facebook. Lastly, I'm on Twitter at The Goddess Livia, that's TheGoddessLivia, where I tweet about Star Trek history and leftist politics. So, Justin, where can people find you when you're not looking for absurdist humor in many alternate dimensions?
I really want more absurd stuff. I really do. So you can find me on Twitter. I'm at TrekFan4747, where I tweet about nothing but Star Trek. And you can find me in our Facebook group, the Federation Council Chambers. So the United Federation of Podcasts is home to many different podcasts, in addition to Infinite Diversity. So we have Franchise Fatigue, which is about movies, remakes, and sequels. Trek Pod, which is about interviewing people involved in Star Trek. General Quarters, which is a military podcast. All Good Things, which covers all the Star Trek other than what we cover here, so all the previous Star Trek. There's Galaxy Class, which covers Next Generation, Mickey's Marvels, which covers Disney, Always Hold On to Arrow about the Arrowverse, of course, History with Szilagyi, and then a new one, Sasquatch, about Bigfoot multimedia. So hope you check out all of those shows to keep you busy every week.
We'd also like to take this opportunity to thank our current patrons and remind everyone that you can support our network for as little as $3 a month through Patreon. We've grown a great deal in the last year, and we are starting to push at the edges of our current podcast hosting tier on Spreaker. We'll need to increase our storage, and that can get a bit pricey. So if you've ever thought about supporting us before, now is the time. You can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/UFPEarth.
All right, and thank you very much for tuning into Infinite Diversity. Thank you to our executive producers, Ken Tripp, Tony Robinson, and Zach Moore. Thank you to Zach Tripp for the wonderful theme music and Tony Robinson for the awesome show art. Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, and please subscribe. And if you want to reach out, you can find our network on Twitter at UFP Earth, or our show specifically at IDIC Podcast. You can also talk about any and all of the UFP podcasts in the Facebook group Federation Council Chambers, or you can email us at infinitediversity@ufp.earth. So on the next episode, we'll be talking about our favorite characters from Season 2 of Discovery. So until then, peace and long life.
This has been a production of MTMR Media Works.
Definitely. And we would like to thank the opportunity.
I like that. Thank the opportunity.
Thank the opportunity. Thank you, opportunities.